Jupiter has a long history surprising scientists all the way back to 1610 when Galileo found the first moons beyond Earth. That discovery changed the way we see the universe. Fifth in line from the Sun, Jupiter is, by far, the largest planet in the solar system, more than twice as massive as all the other planets combined. Jupiter's familiar stripes and swirls are actually cold, windy clouds of ammonia and water floating in an atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. Jupiter's iconic Great Red Spot is a giant storm bigger than the planet Earth that has raged for hundreds of years. So, perspective.
Because that's how you get ants!
The Wachowskis exploded on the scene with their first film, The Matrix. While you can see inspirations from many places in the film, The Matrix was really a unique sci-fi property that wasn't based on a book or a franchise that had been around since the 70s or earlier. So naturally, Warner Brothers was hoping that lightning would strike twice and reached out to the Wachowskis to create another original science fiction piece. After The Matrix, the Wachowskis didn't see much critical success for the movies they directed. I've heard Speed Racer and Cloud Atlas weren't good, but I haven't seen them. Judge for yourself. Speed Racer will definitely end up on this channel one day. The Wachowskis have cited Homer's Odyssey and The Wizard of Oz as inspiration, and you can definitely see it. Critics were scathing, audiences were a little bit better, but not much. Let's take our own trip over the rainbow to find anything nice to say about Jupiter ascending. It's hard to make new sci-fi without context. The Matrix was able to break out and since then created its own deeper mythology. So many science fiction films are a sequel, continuation, or adaptation of an existing property. It's always great when a studio takes a chance on a completely original sci-fi film. Jupiter Ascending stars Mila Kunis as Jupiter. I'm sort of surprised Mila Kunis hasn't had a more extensive movie career. She's smart, she's funny, she can speak Russian. Mila Kunis is a great lead. We get a little backstory on her. She was born in a shipping container while she and her mother were being smuggled to America. As an adult, she works with her mother and other members of her family as a maid. She has to get up at 4 a.m. every morning to get her day started. She works like a dog and she doesn't have much to show for it. She schemes with her cousin to sell one of her eggs for a quick 15 grand. She plans on using her cut to buy an antique brass telescope, an obsession that goes back to her father. Her father was English and while living in Russia was killed in a robbery. Jupiter has been using the name of one of her clients at the clinic. During the workday, she and the client are attacked by aliens who take a blood sample from the client. In the meantime, we have Kane, who we're told was genetically mixed with a wolf-type creature to be a half-man, half-wolf super soldier, but seriously guys, he's a space elf with magic boots. Anyway, Kane is looking for Jupiter too. So let's hit the pause button on this synopsis and shift to something completely different. One of Jupiter Ascending's biggest strengths is also its biggest weakness. It doesn't take any time to explain what's happening. We sort of got that in The Matrix because Neo is new to that world. He spends his time training. Jupiter isn't about to be trained for anything. She's just being kidnapped and dragged around, so I'm here to help you out. In Jupiter Ascending, there are humans throughout the universe. These humans have a monarch system, and 3 siblings are currently bickering over their holdings after the death of their mother. These members of royalty are basically immortal because they have established farm planets full of humans who they harvest, that is, brutally kill, and then bathe in their, I don't know, it's refined remains, not blood exactly, but kinda. They submerge themselves in the remains and become young again, so kind of space vampires? Eddie Redmayne plays Balaam, the royal who inherited the Earth Farm. He has a refinery in the storm of Jupiter probably because it was the most evil place he could think of to put it. The reason they're all after Jupiter is because she is the genetic identical of their mother, which their society thinks makes her their mother reincarnate. So technically Jupiter gets everything and the kids fighting over the inheritance is useless because it all belongs to her. All the kids want her so they can have her give up her birthright and they'll own everything, but first she has to claim the birthright. I know what you're thinking. How can she be genetically identical? Well, apparently there are so many humans in the universe that it was bound to happen at some point. I mean, we get a scene where we find out the daughter is over 14,000 years old, so in that amount of time, the odds of someone genetically identical... Okay, I'm not a geneticist, nor am I a biologist. I'm not even a paleobotanist. I don't know how likely it would be for DNA to repeat, so you'll just have to go with it here. The Wachowskis drawing inspiration from The Wizard of Oz is pretty clear once you think about it. Jupiter isn't a bright-eyed fish out of water. She tries to take control of her own destiny. There's a scene where she has to deal with the bureaucracy in order to claim her birthright that's pretty funny. She makes the comment that she'll never complain about the DMV again. There's also the angle that she's been a maid her whole life. At one point, she's arguing with Eddie Redmayne, and he makes a snide comment about how his mother never scrubbed a toilet. She's thrust into the world of affluence and opulence beyond even Earth standards. Cain has a sort of loyalty to her. He was supposed to deliver her to one heir, but ends up being a protector. We find out he's just trying to get his wings back because... Wait, what? Wolves don't have wings, but the soldiers do? Maybe this movie flopped because none of this makes any sense. Sean Bean, the living, breathing spoiler alert, plays Stinger, a soldier like Cain, except instead of being mixed with a wolf, he's mixed with bees.
No, not the bees!
He and Cain sort of join forces and betray each other and join forces again. At one point, the middle child tries to marry his genetic mama so he can kill her and then claim everything as her husband. Jeez, okay, I'm done. Let's strip it down to what's good. 1. I like Mila Kunis a lot. 2. Channing Tatum is a pretty space elf. His boots are cool. 3. There are lots of explosions and destruction. There are cool things in space. There's a fight scene, chase scene, rescue scene in the eye of the storm of Jupiter. It is exciting and tense. 4. The special effects and visuals are pretty amazing, even if half the time you don't know what the hell is going on. Mila gets a cool dress at the wedding. There are spaceships. If there's one thing the Wachowskis have always done a fantastic job at, it's the visual aesthetic of their movies. Each one is different. Each one is stunning in its own way. 5. At the end, Mila's happy to be home, even though she basically owns the Earth now. She goes back to her job as a maid and is happy to be with her family. We get a closing image of Channing with his wings because... I don't know, just because, where he's teaching her how to use his magic boots and they're flying around Chicago. 6. Sean Bean was pretty cool. You know what does have wings? Bees.
Ah! Open my eyes!
With an estimated budget between $176 and $200 million, Jupiter Ascending made $183.9 million, so it made somewhere between $7 million to breaking even to losing $16 million. I spent too much time of the movie trying to figure out what was going on and not enough of the movie just enjoying the visual elements, the creature design, and the characters. If you're going to try and sit through this one, maybe read a synopsis beforehand or just try not to get bogged down in the weird and slightly incomprehensible plot. That's all for this episode of Anything Nice to Say. Try not to get harvested for your youth and never be ashamed to like what you like. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for when we drop a new video. Check out my book, Live Like Legends, available now, and head over to Patreon to subscribe for exclusive content, early access, and more. Are we going to talk about Eddie Redmayne?